In this video, we're going to take a look at composite figures. So to find the volume of a composite figure, you want to look at the figure and try to divide it into shapes that you can find the volume of easily, and then add them together. So in this first example, I want to point out that there's two ways you could divide this figure up and still find the same composite volume. So if we divide it that way, you can see that you have two boxes, one kind of in the back there and then like one box sitting out front. You can find the volume of those two boxes and then add those together, or you could divide it like maybe you see it this way and you could find the volume of the two boxes and add those together in that way. And that's the way that I am going to work out this example, but if you work it out either way, you should get the same answer. So I'm just going to call that like my blue box now, and I'm going to find the volume of that box. And so the volume of a rectangular prism, remember, is the area of the base times the height. But the area of the base of a box or a rectangular prism is a rectangle. And so that's where we get length times width times height from. And then we could just easily multiply those together. So if we look at our picture, we see that the box has the 3-foot side, 5 feet kind of looks like the height, and then the width looks like it's the 12 feet because we can see that those sides would have the same measurement right there. So we can say that that would be 12 times 3 times 5. It doesn't really matter which one you call length, width, or height because you're just multiplying them all together. And then we get for the volume of that box 180 cubic feet. So then I'm going to shade in the lower box just so you could see it a little better, and we'll find the volume of that one. And then we're just going to add those together. All right, so I have a red box now, and I can see that we have a side that's 10 feet by 12 feet, and then it looks like a height of 4 feet. And so the volume would work just like the one at the top, and we would have length times width times height because we have the area of the base, which in this case is 10 times 12, and then times the height. But again, it doesn't really matter which order because you're just multiplying those all together. So then we get 480 cubic feet for the volume of that red box. And then we just have to add those together to get the volume of our composite figure. So we would say 480 cubic feet plus 180 cubic feet gives us a grand total of 660 cubic feet. And so that would be the answer for this first example. All right, so let's look at a different looking composite figure. For this next example, we have a triangular prism at the top. I'm just going to shade it in blue again. And then at the bottom, it looks like a rectangular prism. So we just need to find the volume of both of those and then add those together. So that might help them stand out a little better. Okay, so for the triangular prism, so I'm going to write, this is the volume of a triangular prism. Whoops, let me spell that better. So the volume of any prism is the area of the base, so capital B, times the height. And in this case, the base of this prism is actually this this triangular face of the prism. And so the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height of that triangle. And then the height that they have in the formula is the height that's actually, let me get another color. It's actually right there. That's actually our height of our triangular prism because it's laying on its side in this picture, and a lot of times they are. And so that is the height of the whole prism. So we need 1/2 the base of the triangle. So the base of the triangle is this side down here, which they've told you is 12. I'm going to write that in the same color. And the height of the triangle, they've actually written over here in this little arrow over there, I guess you call it. So that's the height of your triangle is 9. And then the height of the whole prism, I labeled in yellow, but I'm not sure if that color would show up well over here. So I'm going to write it in orange, and that height corresponds with the height. That didn't show up good either. Let's use yellow again. The height corresponds with this 4 that's down there on the side of your rectangular prism. So we have all of our numbers filled into our formula, and we can just plug that all into the calculator. And we get the volume of the triangular prism is a total of 216 cubic inches. And so now the easier part is to find the volume of the rectangular prism at the bottom. So remember, the volume of a rectangular prism the volume of any prism is the area of the base, so capital B times the height, but the base of a rectangular prism is a rectangle. So we just say length times width times height. And so we have 16 times 4 times 6. So 16 times 4 times 6 gives us a total of 384 cubic inches. And so to find the volume of the composite figure, you just have to add that all up. So we have the total would be 216 plus 384, which adds up to a nice even 600 cubic inches. All right, so let's look at one more example. It looks like an ice cream cone. So first you want to determine what the shapes in the figure are. So this top part where it looks kind of like your ice cream or your snow cone would be is a half of a sphere. So it looks kind of like a part of a sphere or hemisphere. And so half the volume of a sphere would be 1/2 4/3 pi r cubed. And here we'll just write volume of half of a sphere. And at the bottom, the cone is just the shape of a cone. So we just need to find the volume of the cone plus the volume of half of the sphere at the top. So let's write volume of a cone is equal to 1/3 pi r squared times h. And we just need to fill those in, find the volume, and add those together. So the volume for half of the sphere at the top of our figure, I need to write 1/2 times 4/3 pi. Let's just use 3.14, but you do have a pi button in your calculator you could also use. And then the radius they have over here in the picture is the 10 yards. So we just have to plug in 10 cubed. So when you calculate all of that, you get, let me find it on my paper, 2,093 and 1/3, but we'll just put 0.3 repeating cubic yards. And now let's find the volume of the cone. So we have volume is 1/3 pi r squared h. So r is our radius, which is still just 10. And we need to square that. And then the height they've indicated right here with this arrow for you, which is just the 15. So when you calculate the volume of the cone, you get 1,570 cubic yards. And again, I just used pi was 3.14 for my calculation, but you also could use the button in your calculator. Now we just need to total those together to get the volume of our composite figure, and we'll be all done. So let's say 2,093.3 repeating plus 1,570 gives us a total of 3,663.3 repeating, or 1/3 cubic yards. All right, so that's it for these couple of examples on composite figures. Thank you for listening.